Hello everyone. So this is the Y-Files. Humans versus Superhumans, when monsters were real and we almost went extinct. This is a long one, so we'll break this down into two or three videos. It depends on how I feel. We'll see. It'll either be 3 15-minute videos or 2 22-minute videos and you know, stuff. So let's go.
This is brought to you by the Y-Files Operation Podcast. Deep dives and longer stories every week. Humans are the apex predator. Not an apex predator, the apex predator. There's no animal on Earth that is stronger, more intelligent, or more adaptable than Homo sapiens. But telling the human story from the beginning is difficult. It was a time when two words defined our world: fear and violence. It was a time when we were not the apex predator. We were their prey. We emerged from our caves during the day, hoping we wouldn't be hunted by the monsters in the woods. So vicious were these monsters, they still live in our myths and our nightmares. They created a generational trauma embedded into our DNA over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. These creatures were stronger, faster, and when it came to combat, more intelligent than we were. It's a miracle any of us are even here. This is the story of how modern humans conquered the monsters and won the battle for the world. But here's the thing, those fearsome monsters defeated by humans were other humans. Until next time, be safe, be kind, and know that you are appreciated.
Sir, I'm gonna need you to come with us.
Okay. Hello? Can anybody hear me? I don't know why I'm here.
Take off the pillowcase. We are agents with the CFP.
CFP? I don't know what that is. I never heard of that.
Yeah, that's not your concern.
Okay.
We have been following your show, and we have reason to believe.
Hey, dude. I thought I was gonna do the investigation this time.
Oh, if you're gonna do it, then do it. Stop sitting there. Do it.
All right, jeez.
We have been following your show, and we have reason to believe that you have far more information on your topics that you've been sharing.
What?
We have been following your show.
No, I heard you. I just don't know what that means.
We have been following your show.
He speaks English, you moron. Your question is confusing. My question is not confusing.
Yeah, it is.
He's just playing dumb.
You're dumb.
Well, if you know that I have more information, then you already know that what I know that you know.
Just tell us what we want to know.
Okay, what episode are you talking about?
What episode are we talking about?
I don't know, dude. You're the researcher.
No, you're supposed to know this.
What the heck?
The one that
Has more information.
Look, guys, I have a podcast that covers all of this. The Y-Files Operation Podcast comes out every week. On Mondays, we release the YouTube episodes. And then on Wednesdays, we do deep dives into those stories. And then we cover unredacted topics that are a little too sensitive for YouTube.
Kind of makes sense. And where does this podcast air?
The Y-Files Operation Podcast. You can get it on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, anywhere you listen to podcasts.
That sounds really convenient, actually.
Yeah. Super smart.
Okay.
Go unlock his cuffs.
So, can I go?
Me unlock the cuffs. You have the keys.
No, I gave you the keys.
You did not.
You specifically put them under the. You have the keys. Maybe when you give me the keys.
You're the one who sat on the syringe.
Start telling everyone
Guys.
who listen that we were men in black and
We're way cooler than in the movie.
We are way cooler than the guys in the movies. Give me a little support.
violence and
Fine, whatever. Listen.
Wait. Where did he go?
Aw, damn it. Not again.
I was kind of lost as to what was happening there. Okay, that was just a little ad.
You are not who you think you are. Well, you're human, but we, Homo sapiens, weren't the first type of humans. Just 50,000 years ago, various species of humans shared the planet with us at the same time, and they were everywhere. Denisovans settled in Russia. Floresiensis traveled all the way to Indonesia. Luzonensis traveled through Asia and all the way down through the Philippines. And of course, there's us, Homo sapiens. We evolved in Africa, then moved into the Arabian Peninsula and spread to other parts of Asia, Australia, Europe, and the Americas. In time, Homo sapiens would colonize every habitable region on Earth, but that would take thousands of years because there was something or someone standing in the way of our progress, another species of human. A species of human that was stronger, faster, and more adaptable to extreme environments. This fearsome and fearless warrior species was the Neanderthal. The Neanderthal was not the dumb, bumbling caveman you were taught in school. They were intelligent, had spoken language. They built large family groups that organized into tribes, that then organized into villages. They conquered fire, they created art, they created music, they created tools. But their specialty was creating weapons. This species of superhuman warriors conquered Europe easily. They crossed the English Channel and conquered Britain. The warm coasts of the Mediterranean, too, were theirs. For 500,000 years, they devoured Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. They were the kings of the world, the ultimate warriors, the apex predator. Unlike other human species who ate mostly fruits, seeds, and grains, Neanderthals only ate meat. They were strong enough to take on animals that no other creature would touch: cave bears, leopards, mammoths, even rhinos. But their favorite prey, their favorite food, was us. Do you know the names of your great-grandparents? What about the names of their great-grandparents? I can only trace my family back a few generations. Royal families and nobles have records of their ancestors that go back hundreds of years, some over 1,000. The Chinese philosopher Confucius has one of the world's most extensive family trees. Today, Confucius has millions of living descendants.
So does Wilt Chamberlain.
Documentation of Confucius's family goes back 2,500 years. Even those people are not who they think they are. 2,500 years is nothing. Our story is much older than that, millions of years older. 7 million years ago, a new primate split off from chimpanzees. This was Sahelanthropus chidensis. Sahelanthropus was a new type of species, the first hominin. Hominins include modern humans, extinct human species, and all of our immediate ancestors. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, emerged about 300,000 years ago. So what about all the time in between? Were there humans? Sure, lots of them. 1 million years after Sahelanthropus was Orawan tugenensis. Orawan was still very ape-like in appearance. It was about the size of a chimp and had a small brain. But it started experimenting with walking upright. That was a big deal. Walking on 2 legs instead of 4 changed everything.
Legs are overrated.
Well, bipedalism exposes less of the body to the sun, which helps with heat regulation. And walking on 2 legs instead of 4 is also much more energy efficient. But the biggest advantage of all, it freed up the hands for carrying objects, food, and tools. Ardipithecus, or Ardi, came next. They definitely walked upright. Early humans mostly ate leaves, fruits, nuts, and seeds, but Ardi was one of the first human species to consume meat, though it was rare.
Well, I prefer medium rare.
No, it was rare meaning uncommon. Still, early humans were mostly vegetarian.
Oh, really? Did they tie the fur in their head into ape buns? Maybe splash on a little patchouli? Do some hot monkey yoga?
No, they didn't eat meat because animals were fast or dangerous, usually both. Eating whatever was growing on trees and bushes was easier and much safer.
Bunch of
Yeah, I would say back in those days, if you wanted to eat meat, you probably didn't have a tool or bow and arrow, gun. So you had to jump on its back and start chewing on it and try to choke it out before you could eat it.
hippie monkey snowflakes.
Then comes a different species, Australopithecus. You might have heard of the ancient hominin named Lucy. She was Australopithecus afarensis. A few million years later, Paranthropus emerged. These humans were bigger than their ancestors. On average, they were about 4.5 feet tall. Their brains were getting larger too. Paranthropus was a tough creature, powerful, fast, muscular. They ate fruit and vegetation too, but these hominins were now strong enough to catch and kill larger and larger animals, which they did. Many scientists believe the high-quality nutrients from larger game played a role in increasing their brain size. Paranthropus soon learned that they can catch even larger game if they banded together. Humans were now becoming social creatures. This is where human development begins to accelerate. By creating social groups, it allowed adult humans to teach skills to their children. Their technology was primitive, but it improved with each generation. Homo habilis came next and had a much larger brain, almost 700 grams. They began to look more like us than apes. They lived in communities. They are the first known users of stone tools. Human species were advancing rapidly at this point. Next comes Homo erectus.
Yeah, Homo erectus.
Please don't be a child. Homo means man, erectus means upright.
I already know an erectus is upright. Unless I have too much vodka.
That's enough.
All right. These jokes are too easy anyway.
Anyway, the upright humans had very large brains. They discovered and harnessed fire. They used sophisticated tools, built shelters, and lived in communities. They innovated advanced hunting techniques like herding, ambushing, and setting traps. They were highly adaptable to any climate, warm or cold. And so Erectus is the first human species to leave Africa. Erectus was tall, standing 5 foot 9 inches, some even taller.
Wow, that is a big erectus.
Please stop. At some point in school, a teacher showed you this chart. This is the evolution of man, right? Wrong. Sapiens didn't evolve directly from Erectus. Erectus launched the species Heidelbergensis. It was at this point where early humans learned a new skill, a skill that would help shape the world for future generations, and shapes our world still. This new skill was violence. When hominins evolved from chimps, they weren't much different than monkeys. But over millions of years, they learned to walk on 2 legs, freeing up their hands. Their brains grew much larger, allowing them to learn skills. They organized into tribes, developed simple language, and were able to pass on knowledge, information, and skills to their offspring. Heidelbergensis branched off 2 new species. One of those was us, Homo sapiens. The other branch was, well, Lord of the Rings.
Did you just say Lord of the Rings?
Yep. From Heidelbergensis came Floresiensis. They're commonly called hobbits. They were about 3.5 feet tall and had large, hairy, flat feet, just like a hobbit.
And they lived in the Shire.
No, these hobbits lived deep in the jungles of Indonesia.
No, you're thinking of Tom Bombadil.
No, he lived in the forest.
That's right.
Can I get back to this now?
You shall not! I'm just kidding, go ahead.
For over 200,000 years, several different species of humans shared the Earth. Hobbits, Denisovans, Heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, and quite a few more. But then, about 70,000 years ago, all human species started dying out, one by one. Finally, all species of humans went extinct, except for 2, us and Neanderthals. Today, most Neanderthals are depicted looking very much like we do. A little shorter, a little stockier, maybe they have a larger eyebrow ridge. But for the most part, you'll find picture after picture of cheerful-looking Neanderthals, big smiles, rosy cheeks. But there's evidence that they didn't look human at all. That's where Lord of the Rings comes into play. A new study shows that Neanderthals were real-life orcs, and they were terrifying. Huge hulking beasts with thick fur, cat-like eyes, and physical strength far greater than any Homo sapien. Their bones were much heavier than ours to support their enormous muscular strength.
One of the most characteristic features of the Neanderthals is the exaggerated massiveness of their trunk and limb bones. All of the preserved bones suggest a strength seldom attained by modern humans. A healthy Neanderthal male could lift an average NFL linebacker over his head and throw him through the goalposts.
Their limbs were stocky, their noses were large and broad. Their jaws were designed for eating meat, any meat, even each other's. Neanderthal.
Anyone else ever heard about this? It's weird because when I did my DNA test, I have was it 56% more I almost said Neanderthal. Neanderthal. Wow, the word wouldn't come to me. I have like 56% more Neanderthal than the average person who took those DNA tests. And I'll be honest, that guy, he does look delicious. So does that fish. I'm joking. But yeah, like, I've never heard any of this before. Am I the only one? Is this going to be just an interesting little story? Or is this going to be real? Because so far it's playing out like it's real, but I feel like it's not. I don't know.
Neanderthals were smart, organized, and experts at war. Their hunting parties became small armies. In close combat, a Neanderthal could easily overpower 5 or 6 modern humans. No other species had a chance. Wherever Neanderthals went, all other human species in the area went extinct. Except for us. We fled. We surrendered our land to the monsters and retreated. But wherever we went, Neanderthals followed. Neanderthals discovered that we were a valuable resource. Our species was useful to them in 2 ways. 1, our men were good for eating, and 2, our women were good for mating. No time in human history was more violent than when we shared the earth with Neanderthals. If your ancestors were alive today, they'd describe the most formidable beings. Emerging from the darkness in the dead of night, huge muscles sitting atop a skeleton 25 times more dense than our own. Their skin was thick, too tough to penetrate with most arrowheads. These creatures evolved during our last ice age and migrated from northern Europe. Their bodies were covered in black fur. Their backs were hunched like a gorilla, but they weren't slow. Neanderthals were agile, much faster than us, despite our smaller size and lighter weight. Their broad noses evolved to give them an extremely sensitive sense of smell and taste. They could detect our scent for miles. A Neanderthal's eyes were enormous, sunken with split pupils like a cat's eyes, allowing them to see extremely well in the dark. Like nocturnal monkeys today, who also have split pupils, Neanderthals' eyes contained a layer of tissue called tapetum lucidum. When you see an animal's eyes shining at night, you're seeing the reflection of this special tissue. It's a type of night vision. Light enters the eye and passes through the retina. Tapetum lucidum acts like a mirror and reflects more light back into the retina. This biological adaptation is seen in many different animals: cats, dogs, deer, nocturnal birds, and many more. But not us. We can't see in the dark. But Neanderthals could. Some psychologists believe this is why so many people are afraid of the dark. It's a generational trait, a defense mechanism encoded into our DNA after thousands of years of being hunted at night. But the mouths of Neanderthals were the most terrifying part of all. Their teeth were twice as big as ours, with a bite force that could crush human bone. Neanderthals built communities. They developed technologies used mostly for hunting. Hunting was a Neanderthal's most important activity. A Neanderthal's size meant they needed a huge amount of food. Their diets were 97% meat. Each fully grown adult had to eat more than 4 pounds of flesh every day to survive, and they didn't care where the meat came from. Aside from hunting mammoths, rhinos, bison, and giant cave bears, Neanderthals also hunted each other. Tribes would raid villages. Rival Neanderthal groups would not only kill their enemies, but eat them as well. And there's plenty of evidence of this. Fossilized bones show clear signs of butchery. The Neanderthals' favorite food, human marrow. Neanderthals were so powerful and confident, they hunted and ate cave lions. Cave lions weighed more than 700 pounds. Our ancestors didn't go anywhere near big cats, but a cave lion was no match for a Neanderthal. Same with bears. Our ancestors ran away from bears. Neanderthals grabbed spears and ran toward them. And it wouldn't take long before those spears were aimed at us. Around 125,000 years ago, our ancestors settled the Levantine region. The Levantine is now East Africa, Israel, and Western Asia. The Levantine sites show our ancestors developing tools, creating jewelry, and caring for the sick. They lived in tribes. They developed agriculture. They were physically recognizable as modern humans. They were building a complex, structured society. They were on their way to building an early civilization. But then something happened. A new ice age had arrived. This was a period of rapid glacial growth. The deserts advanced, and the forests of Europe disappeared under ice. As the climate got colder, Neanderthals migrated south. Their territories were expanding. Their hunting grounds were now advancing into the land occupied by us. We were also dealing with the shifting climate, and our bodies weren't developed to deal with it. We were slender. We didn't have fur or thick skin to protect us from the cold. The Neanderthals' bodies were designed to create heat. Homo sapiens are designed to lose it. And instead of sharing our land with us, Neanderthals did what all humans do, no matter the species: dominate and conquer. The Neanderthals had no choice. These other humans, these skinny, weak, hairless creatures, they had to go. Around 80,000 years ago, the human fossil record started to disappear, and things grew colder. Most archaeologists attribute the decline of the human population to climate change.
Climate change? Here we go again. Just build a nuclear power plant, you moron.
This was 80,000 years ago.
Excuses, excuses.
I don't think you're being fair.
Don't make me drop a how dare you.
Please don't. We go to that well a little too much. But humans didn't disappear from the area because it got cold. They disappeared because they were hunted. Fossils of Neanderthal bones are still found there, but no human bones. Why not? Well, because Neanderthals ate them. You would think that Neanderthals and modern humans, being so much alike, would learn to get along. In On the Origin of Species, Darwin says that killing each other is not only natural behavior, it's obvious.
Competition will generally be most severe between those forms which are most related to each other. Varieties of the same species, having nearly the same structure, constitution, and habits, come into the severest competition with each other. Each new variety or species during formation will press hardest on its nearest kindred and exterminate them.
And they almost did. Neanderthals hunted Homo sapiens to the point of near extinction on multiple occasions. We know this because the genetic variation within Homo sapiens is the lowest of all primate species. The genetic difference between human to human, no matter your race or ethnicity, is about 0.1%. That's how closely related we are. So what does that mean? Around 80,000 years ago, when our species and Neanderthals were violently competing for resources, we nearly went extinct. But the Neanderthal population was doing just fine. But us, Homo sapiens, we were down to 50 people. One study says it could have been as low as 40. That's it. Only 40 or 50 people left on Earth.
Oh, Bill Gates would have loved this.
There's a small group of chimps in West Africa made up of about 50 individuals. They're all from the same family. They have about twice as much genetic variability as all humans. On average, chimpanzees have a genetic variation of 1.2% compared to our 0.1%, and chimps are our closest relatives. We have such low genetic variability because we came within inches of extinction. We had to start over with just a few dozen families. And here's how it happened. I want you to imagine the world 80,000 years ago. Maybe you're 10 or 11 years old. You live in a wooden hut with your family.
I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. I'm going to go back a little bit, but on the next video, because this is getting into a story, and I don't want to stop it a minute in, because I was going to stop it at 23. I'm going to stop it here so we can go into whatever this story is. Does that sound fair? Sounds fair to me. So, we'll be back for part 2 very quickly. But until then, there's a thanks button on the channel. You can donate. You can request videos if you do donate. You can still request videos. They just take longer to get to. You can subscribe and click that bell for reasons. And then give a thumbs up because Subhumans is really interesting. I apologize for not talking a whole lot, but I'm just actually engulfed in the story. So I really don't know if this is believable or not, but it's interesting. If this turns out to be just one big lie, I'm going to be very upset because I've never heard it, so it could be a lie, but it's very interesting. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot more, but this video part 2 will be out tomorrow. So until then, have a good day, have a good night.